Hey guys, I will be out of class again today due to a training, but I wanted to see if maybe I could still provide you the lesson. So this is just a test to see how this works for future days that I may be out. So today's lesson is 4-4, journalizing, correcting entries, and correcting posting errors. So today what we're going to do is when something's been journalized incorrect, we're going to put the correct journal entry. And if by any chance you've made some errors, I'm going to show you how to correct those errors. So an incorrect journal entry should be corrected with an additional entry called a correcting entry. Typically, a memorandum is going to be prepared as your source documentation, and it'll describe the error that you are correcting. So it will have the date, it'll have the amount, and it'll have the two corresponding accounts that need to be adjusted. Our example for today, April 17th, discovered that a payment of cash for advertising in March was journalized and posted in error as a debit to miscellaneous expense instead of advertising expense for $120, and this is on memorandum number 15. So our two accounts that are affected are miscellaneous expense and advertising expense. Our miscellaneous expense was debited in error. Since these are both debit balancing accounts, that means that our miscellaneous account has too much money by exactly $120, and our advertising expense has too little money by exactly $120. So we need to adjust that. The example will be that our advertising expense should therefore have the debit of $120, and our miscellaneous expense should have a credit of $120. This will increase the advertising expense to the correct amount, and this will decrease the miscellaneous expense to the correct amount. In your journal entry, you will first write the date, which is the 17th, April 17th. The account titles are advertising expense and miscellaneous expense. Our document number is M15, and it'll be a debit on the advertising expense and a credit on the miscellaneous expense. No other correction will be necessary. There are going to be some instances where you will cross out an error that was done. So this is an example where I put a $100 debit on my prepaid insurance when it should have been a $100 debit on my supplies. All you do is draw a line through the entire incorrect entry, record the posting in the correct amount, and recalculate the balance. So what happens when I just write a wrong number? I add a 0, possibly invert the numbers, or what happens when I meant to make a debit transaction but I put a credit transaction, or vice versa. Same idea. You're going to draw a line through the incorrect amount, and you're going to write the correct amount just above it in the same space provided, but smaller. And then, of course, recalculate the correct balance. So, again, the second scenario is I wrote a $30 credit when it should have been a $30 debit. What do? Same idea. Draw a line through the incorrect item in the account, record the correct amount in the correct column, and recalculate your new balance. So what is a correcting entry? It's a journal entry made to correct an error in a ledger. When is a correcting entry necessary? When a transaction has been improperly journalized and posted to the ledger. What are the 3 steps for correcting an incorrect amount posted to an account? Draw a line through the incorrect amount, correct the amount, and recalculate the balance. What are the 3 steps for correcting an amount posted in an incorrect column? Draw a line through the incorrect amount, record the correct amount in the correct column, and recalculate the balance. Now, Let's see how all of this is going to look in our system. So go ahead and log in, and we're going to do the work together. So what we're going to do is we're going to journalize 2 corrections, and then we're going to make some adjustments to a ledger. So the first part, it says, let me zoom in so that this is a little easier for you guys to see. It's discovered that a transaction for supplies bought last month was journalized and posted in error as a debit to prepaid insurance instead of supplies. So we need to make the correct adjustment. So the 2 accounts that have been impacted are prepaid insurance and supplies. Prepaid insurance has an overage, or is over by $75, and supplies is under by $75. So the first thing that we need to do is put the correct date. Our date is December, so when we're doing our first date in a journal, we put the date with the month. Make sure that you use the correct punctuation, and it's the 1st. So supplies needs to have the original debit, so I'm going to put supplies first. And prepaid should have a credit to lower it. Both of these are assets. So, did I spell that wrong? Yes, I did. Both of these are assets. So, in order to increase my supplies correctly, I will debit. And in order to decrease my prepaid insurance correctly, I will credit. The amount that I will be debiting and crediting is $75. So $75 on the supplies for a debit and $75 on prepaid insurance for the credit. Now I have corrected the error of the $75 originally being put on the prepaid insurance rather than correctly being put on the supplies. Another discovery was made that a transaction for rent expense for last month was journalized and posted in error when it should have been a repair expense instead, and this was for $900. So I still have the same date. I'm going to put the 1st. And this time my 2 accounts are rent expense and repair expense. And it makes sense that this was made in error because they both start with R. And sometimes we just type too fast. Now these are both expenses, so these maintain their balance on the debit side. So debit will increase and credit will decrease. So I need to increase my rent expense, which is the correct account, and I need to decrease my repair expense, which was the incorrect amount. Now this is all on Memorandum 6, so I'm going to put M16. And the amount is for $900. So I'm going to debit my $900 to rent expense and credit my $900 to my repair expense. The second part of the assignment is going to be when you have an incorrect amount. So the date is correct, the post reference is correct, you are actually in the correct account, but for some reason the numbers were inverted or incorrectly entered. So for instance, on November 15th, I should have put $540, but I accidentally put $450. So where it says box A, I put the numbers opposite. So I'm going to put the correct amount over here in box A. So $540.00. Nothing needs to be corrected in box B because I actually did put it in the correct spot. It is supposed to be a debit. But now I need to adjust my debit balance. The balance isn't $450, it's $540. So I'm going to correct that. On the 30th, I have a second error that was done. Instead of having the $400 be a credit, the $400 transaction should be a debit. So it should not be in box F, it should be in box E. So for E, I'm going to put the correct amount, which is $400. I'm going to leave box D blank because our balance is never carried in a 300 account on the credit. Drawings accounts are the one exception to owner's equity where the debit balance exists. All other owner equities accounts are credit balance. That is one exception that exists in accounting. For box F, I'm going to leave it blank because it should have originally been blank, and now I have to recalculate. So I should not have subtracted $400 from $450. I should have added $400. So I'm going to get my calculator. And 450 plus 400 will give me an amount of 850. So I was adding the wrong amount. The amount that I should be adding correctly is the 540, which is the correct balance, and the 400. So 540 plus 400, my new corrected balance for box G is $940. In class today, you will be doing the on your own. So hopefully this will alleviate any stress of me not being in the classroom today. Thank you.